Oak Hill presents an unabridged recording of Mission, written by Paul Forrester-O'Neill, and read by Robert G. Slade. The moral right of the author has been asserted. This performance is owned by Oak Hill. Part 1. It began on that Saturday morning in early February, when John Cassidy sat in his room, his bag packed, his winter boots on, and waited for his father. Every once in a while, he'd stand up and walk over to the window and look out, not because his father was the best father a child could ever wish for, not because he was heroic or even ever-present, but because, in spite of the absence, he was still his father. Now John, at 5.5 years old, didn't know what that meant. He couldn't find words to describe it, but it was there all the same. His mother, Margaret, and Dwayne the usurper stood in the kitchen downstairs. They looked up at the clock. They made drinks. They watched the snow begin to gather on the neighbors' rooftops. And as time went on and one cup of coffee melded into the next, Margaret began to plot. At first, it was just a reaction to the lateness. It was plain and ordinary bile, a vent of frustration only. But then, stoked by the disdain that had started in courtship and grown through pregnancy, childbirth, and the few half-hearted years of rearing, it twisted, and by the time Jack arrived 2 hours late at 12:30, with no better excuse than he'd risen late, Margaret's plan had hardened into something altogether more brutal. She stood on the sidewalk, a coat draped around her shoulders. From somewhere close by came the sound of a wood saw piercing the frosted air. The car window was halfway down. "Where is he?" "He's upstairs." "Is he ready?" "He doesn't want to go," she said. "Because I'm late?" "No," she said, the snowflakes starting to fall around her. "Ever. He doesn't want to see you anymore, Jack. He's had enough, and he's got Dwayne now. Why would he want to suffer you for a day every few weeks when he's got a real man here?" The wood saw wheezed to a stop, and in the sudden white silence Jack didn't know what to say. He was tired. He was hungover. He'd had a week of fruitless traveling from one town to the next, where one person after another had shaken their heads at it.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?